Hi everyone. In this chapter we will look at supply and demand and the government policies. As you remember, as an economist we have two roles. As scientists we develop theories and test the theories to explain the world, and as policy advisors we use these theories to help change the world for a better. And you remember that in the previous chapter 4, we look at how supply and demand determine the price of a good and the quantity of goods sold. Also, we have seen how various events shift supply and demand and thereby change the equilibrium price and quantity. And in chapter 5, we developed the concept of elasticity to gauge the size of these change. Now we will look at in this chapter policies. Here we will analyze various types of government policy using only the tools we have, which is supply and demand. And then we begin by considering policies that directly control prices. So we will focus on government policies that controlling the prices. For example, rent control laws or minimum wage laws. As you know, you have some specific amount of price that you can charge if you have a rent control or minimum wage laws. And then after discussing the price controls, we consider the impact of taxes, because we know that one of the main powerful policy tool for government is to use tax to raise revenue for public purposes and to influence market outcomes. Although the prevalence of taxes in our economy is obvious, their effects are not. For example, when the government levies a tax on the amount that firms pay their workers, the question is, do the firms or the workers bear the burden of tax? Who's paying the tax? The answer is not at all clear until we apply this powerful tool of supply and demand. So in this chapter, we look for the answers to these questions. What are price ceilings and price floors? What are some examples of each? And how do price ceilings and price floors affect market outcomes? How do taxes affect market outcomes? How do effects depend on whether the tax is imposed on buyers or sellers? What is the incidence of a tax and what determines the incidence? So let's start with government policies that alter the private market outcome, which is price controls. To see how price controls affect market outcomes, let's look once again at the market for ice cream. Okay, like chapter 5, we will look at our ice cream market as we do at chapter 4. If ice cream is sold in a competitive market free of government regulation, the price of ice cream adjusts to balance supply and demand. Okay, there's going to be one price, and at that equilibrium price, the quantity of ice cream that buyers want to buy exactly equals the quantity that sellers want to sell. To be concrete, let's suppose that the equilibrium price is $3 per cone. In that price, maybe some people are not happy with the outcome of this free market process. Let's say on one side, the American Association of Ice Cream Eaters, when I say eaters, you think about buyers, complains that $3, the price is too expensive, okay, for a regular family to buy a cone a day. On the other hand, the National Organization of Ice Cream Makers, which are sellers, as I said, makers, complain that $3 price, the result of cutthroat competition, is too low and is depressing the incomes of its members. As you see, each two groups can lobby the government to pass laws that alter the market outcome by directly controlling the price of an ice cream. Because buyers of any good always want a lower price, while at the same time sellers want a higher price, these two groups conflict in terms of their interest. If the ice cream eaters are successful, buyers are successful in their lobbying, the government can impose a maximum price, like as I said here, a maximum price ceiling, a legal maximum on the price of a good or service. As you see, price ceiling is favoring the buyers, example, rent control. Okay, and because the price is not allowed to rise above this level at a maximum price, this is, let's say the price is $2 per cone, it cannot go above $3 per cone, it cannot be. This legislated maximum is called a price ceiling, a legal maximum on the price of a good or service. By contrast, If the ice cream makers, which are sellers, are successful, the government imposes a legal minimum price on the ice cream. So at this time, it's not the maximum price you can sell, it is the minimum bottom price that you cannot sell beyond that price. So the price floor, a legal minimum on the price of a good or service, is imposed by government to protect sellers, like minimum wage. Okay? So we will consider the effects of these two policies, and then finally we will look at the taxes the government can make buyers or sellers pay a specific amount on each unit, and the effect of tax, incidence of tax, burden of tax is the relevant topics to this issue. So we will use supply and demand model to see how each policy affects the market outcome. The price buyers pay, the price sellers receive, and what happens to the equilibrium quantity in the market. Let's start with the price ceiling.